Welcome, everyone, to Trinity United Church of Christ. We welcome you here tonight, where we have the opportunity. Oh, this camera too. They're standing in front of camera too. They're in front of the camera. Okay, y'all sit down. Welcome everybody who's live on live stream and all those who are present here at Trinity United Church of Christ. We welcome you to this evening with Dr. Henry Louis Gates and attorney James Montgomery. Attorney Montgomery is celebrating his 94th birthday today. Come on, let's give it up for Attorney Montgomery. Happy birthday, sir. Our legend, the legal eagle, none other than James Montgomery. We also want to take a moment and acknowledge the brilliance and the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. We are grateful for his legacy, for his work, for his witness, and for all that he has contributed. He is now an ancestor, and we honor the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Let us begin at this moment with a word of prayer. Gracious and most merciful God, in whom we live, move, and have our very being, we ask, O Lord, that you would allow your hand to rest upon Elder Montgomery, and we are grateful for the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. We come here tonight to learn more about our roots and Attorney Montgomery's roots. And we ask, O Lord, that your Holy Spirit would rest here in this space. We're grateful for all those who are here physically and for those who are online. And during this celebration, Black History Month, we will not be erased as a people, and we will celebrate and commemorate the work of our ancestors. We offer this prayer in the mighty, magnificent, and blessed name of Jesus, who is the Christ, we pray. And the people of God who love God may say, amen. Amen. You may be seated at this time. And the musicians are going to play for a few moments. We welcome Dr. Henry Louis Gates. Dr. Gates, I want you to join me up here. So I'm going to give you just a few quick questions.
Okay.
And then I'm going to let you all, I'm going to turn it over to
That's
you.
Great.
Yeah, I think I better stand.
Hey, Otis.
Jordan, where's the stand? Where's the best spot?
Otis, you know what?
Where do you need me to stand? You want to stand together?
No.
Okay.
No, this is your church.
Okay.
I ain't going to come here and take over. I have a cushion that's up in your office.
Oh, okay.
I think it's bring it down.
Okay. I think you just lost your mic. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So there is a black cushion in my office. If you could bring that down, please, Dr. Gates. Okay.
Where is William?
Okay, great.
All right, before we turn everything over to you, Dr. Gates, a couple of questions. Everybody knows who you are, and we are honored that you're here with us. If you could just share with us the origin of Finding Our Roots.
Of course. Good afternoon, everyone. I've only seen you all on TV.
Need the mic?
Can you hear me now? No? Can you hear me now? Good afternoon, everyone. I've only seen you all virtually. You know, I come to church at Trinity on Sundays. Sometimes. And I know a lot of y'all ain't been to church for a while. So I'm busting you because I look. But I love Otis Moss III and Otis Moss Jr. I entered the Moss family through his parents. Through Cleveland, I was giving him an annual book award, and we would have dinner. And then the young Sprout came along, and I admire him very much. And that's why I'm here, because he asked me to do this. I've never done this before. We filmed one Russell Wilson. We did Russell Wilson, the football player in Richmond, and you. This is the second time. But I've never done it in a church, so I didn't tell a lie. Okay? And it's a great honor. It'll take about an hour, probably, with your responses, and we'll be done. And I'll tell you in advance, we didn't have time to process your DNA, but we're sending Melody a DNA kit. She'll give it to you, and then I'll call you on the phone, and I'll be able, basically, you know what a DNA kit for a black person? It tells you how black you are. And it also is going to tell you ain't got no Indian, no Native American ancestry. Because all you people be lying about that. Talk about high cheekbones and straight black hair, your great-great-grandmother. I heard that lie so many times. It is total, I can't say what I was about to say. So, in answer to your question, the short answer is I made my first family tree when I was 9 years old. And it was the day after we buried my father's father, Edward St. Lawrence Gates. The Gates are Episcopalians. Mother's Coleman's, my mother's Coleman, Methodist. And the reason that's important is that the only integrated cemetery in Cumberland, Maryland, was the Episcopal Cemetery, which is ironic because you think of them as being rich, snobby, white, wasps and stuff. But all of this, I was born in 1950. So all of the cemeteries were segregated. There was a colored cemetery and the white cemeteries. And my father took my brother, who's Dr. Paul Gates. He's an oral surgeon. He's 5 years older. There's just two of us. He took us up to the funeral, up to the open casket to see my grandfather, you know, and say goodbye. And my grandfather looked like a white man. He was so white with blood coursing through his veins that we called him Casper behind his back. So you can imagine how white he looked dead. I mean, he looked like he had been painted with alabaster and sprinkled with baby powder, right? I thought he looked ridiculous, and I was scared to death anyway, and I was holding my daddy's hand. And my father was very, very funny. My father made Red Fox look like an undertaker. He was so funny. So I heard this noise from my father, and I thought my father was giggling at how ridiculously white the undertaker had made his father. And I started to laugh. Now I'm 9 years old. I was wearing Husky. Husky, that was a size. I don't know if anybody here remembers Husky. That's one of the worst things ever invented in the history of civilization. Husky. I was a fat little boy. Thank God I'm not anymore. So anyway, I looked up to share the joke with my father, and he wasn't laughing. He was crying. And I felt like an idiot. I felt like my whole life was over because all the colored people, we were colored, 1960, July the 2nd, 1960. All the colored people in Cumberland, Maryland. Cumberland was the largest town in western Maryland, halfway between Pittsburgh and Washington, on the Potomac in the Allegheny Mountains. And my mama's family, the Colemans, lived 25 miles away from the Gateses, but they bused the people from Piedmont, the paper mill town, down to Cumberland to the colored school, okay? Across state lines, because race trumped any, interstate rule or anything like that. And that's where they met. They met in high school, and then subsequently they got married. So and it would turn out that all of my ancestors on all of my lines back 200 years, going back to the time of the American Revolution and the beginning of the 1800s, lived in a 30-mile radius of where I was born. And that's unusual for anybody, anywhere, maybe 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago, but for today it's very unusual. But I didn't know all that when I was 9 years old. I only found that out later. So I had this trauma from laughing at seeing a corpse, open casket, for the first time, then laughing, but nobody had noticed me because they were so, all the colored people in Cumberland were there because my grandfather was a prominent man. He was a sexton at the Episcopal Church. And he and his father had a chimney sweep and janitorial business. And they owned a 200-acre farm, the Gates Farm, in Patterson Creek, West Virginia. It's right on the Maryland-West Virginia border. I mean, you could throw a stone across on either side. I'm a country boy. That is as important to me, the shaping of my identity as being black, growing up in the mountains. When you were 12, you got a 410. The first day of deer season was a holiday, Fishing, I still love to fish. As you know, on the Martha's Vineyard, I don't like to shoot things, but I have no compunction about eating fish, and catching them. Well, then we go up to the Episcopal Cemetery to bury Pop Gates, and we go back. It's the first time I ever saw the Gates plot, and they had like 3 generations of Gateses there. Then we go back to the Gates family home on Green Street, and it turns out that house was purchased by my great-great-grandmother for cash in 1870 in an all-white neighborhood. So the end of this story goes like this, but I didn't know that. Daddy takes Rocky, my family, you all know I'm Skip, and my brother Paul Edward is Rocky. My family's big on nicknames. And Daddy takes us upstairs in his parents' house. We had never been upstairs. We weren't allowed to go upstairs in my grandparents' house. They just disappeared magically up the steps like Harry Potter. So, I had no idea what was up there, like going to Mars. Back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, we had standards. There were things you couldn't do. You couldn't call an older person. You couldn't call an older person by their first name. I was hired at Harvard 34 years ago. And shortly after I arrived, some kid came up to me and said, well, what am I supposed to call you? And I looked at him and said, do not hesitate to call me Professor Gates. What's wrong with you, boy? You can't call an older person by their first name. You have to earn the right to call somebody. I still refer to my parents, long transition, my parents' friends, Miss Mary, Mr. Ozzie. That's just the way it is. You couldn't sit on a bed. You couldn't step on a grave. I don't know about how you heathens out here in Chicago, but up in West Virginia. And you didn't go upstairs in your grandparents' house. So I go into Mars. Rocky and I, Daddy's leading us without telling us why. He takes us into his parents' bedroom, and we still own this house. I mean, my cousins own it. It's on the Maryland Registry of Historic Homes. And he takes us out into a sun porch. And there's a big armoire, a big closet, wooden closet. And he opens it, and it's full of bank ledgers. My grandfather's, one of his gigs was to clean the First National Bank of Cumberland, Maryland. And he was stealing bank ledgers. So Rocky and I compared notes later. We thought it meant we were rich or something, like they were going to divulge the family fortune. No such luck. It turns out my grandfather was stealing these used bank ledgers and using the reverse pages as scrapbooks. And he was clipping newspapers, and he clipped newspapers every day. I mean, there were dozens of these things. And he had an odd fascination with death, every form of death. Airplane, now this is in the 40s, the ones that we're looking at. My father, by the way, is crouched down on the ground. He'd pulled a bunch of these bank ledgers out of the armoire, and he's looking for something, turning the pages furiously. And Rocky and I are looking at each other like, what's up? And, but even in that rapid turning of the pages, we could see, 12 people died in an airplane crash or train accident or automobile accident. And then during the war, no matter where you were in the United States, the Chicago Tribune or whatever would publish the daily war dead from Chicago, and in this case in Cumberland, Maryland. So we were looking at all this, and then finally, after looking through 5 or 6 of these scrapbooks, he said, you boys, his term of endearment for us to the day he died was boy, okay? You boys look. And we looked over his shoulder, and you know what we were looking at? It was a clipping dated January the 6th, 1888. And it said, died this day in Cumberland, Maryland, Jane Gates, an estimable colored woman. An estimable colored woman. And then he pulled a photograph of her out between the pages of this bank ledger. And he said, that's the oldest Gates that we've ever been able to trace. I never want you to forget her name, and I never want you to forget her face. And she was a slave, he said, and a midwife. And she had a kind of funny little hat on, like a nursing hat, kind of. And Rocky and I looked down at this funny-looking colored lady. It was a sepia photograph like that. And, a slave, what was her? We hadn't studied anything about slavery, 9 years old. And overwhelmingly white. The schools, I should point out, there's so few black people where I grew up. Brown v. Boards of 1954, Elder Montgomery, schools integrated in my county in eastern West Virginia, west of Harper's Ferry. So you've all heard of Harper's Ferry. So you can start to imagine where it was. Schools integrated with no Rosa Parks and no MLK in 1955. And we started at the white school in 1956, so I was, but I'm trying to wrap up this story because I could keep you for an hour. But it goes like this. So we looked at this funny little portrait of this woman, and then Daddy put the photograph back in the book and then shut it and gathered all the bank ledgers up and put them back in the armoire. We went downstairs for the repast. Then we drove 25 miles home to Piedmont, West Virginia, which is a paper mill town, West Vaco Paper Company. Daddy worked 2 jobs. He worked at the paper mill in the daytime, and he was a janitor at the telephone company at night. And because he had 2 jobs, we were the wealthiest colored people in town. You know, it's all relative wealth is. I didn't know I was poor till I went to Yale, years later. But I was raised in, we had the nicest house of all the black people. And my brother had his room and I had mine. I always had a bookcase and always had a desk. And on my desk I was raised to be a doctor. You know, as far as Mama was concerned, in heaven, there's the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, and a medical doctor. And if you couldn't get in med school, then you could be a lawyer. That would be fine. But that was it. So next to my desk, the desk sat next to my bed, and on that desk sat a red Webster's Dictionary. And you remember those, right? The last thing I did, ladies and gentlemen, that night, July 2nd, 1960, was look up the word estimable, because I didn't know what it meant. And then I thought, wow, that funny-looking lady, who somebody called a midwife, which I looked up too, is estimable. Maybe I'm estimable too. It just means full of esteem, an esteemed person. The next day was July 3rd, 1960. So we went to the colored picnic. Despite the fact the schools have been integrated, things social, as Booker T said, were still separate. So there was a colored 4th of July picnic and a white one, a colored mill picnic. And on the way back from the picnic, I asked Daddy to stop at what we would call a convenience store today. It was Red Bull's newsstand, owned by white man. Piedmont was an Irish-Italian paper mill town with 2,500 people the year I was born, with 300 black people. And everybody was some kind of Catholic, or Irish or Italian. And Red Bulls was of Irish descent. So I bought a composition book, and that night, July 3rd, 1960, in front of our 12-inch black and white TV set, I interviewed my parents about what only years later I would learn is called your family tree or your genealogy.
Well, we are honored that you are here and that you are going to be interviewing this tremendous gentleman here. And I'm going to turn the rest of the program over to you. Welcome, Dr. Gates, to Chicago. Elder Montgomery, happy birthday. And we want to find out about your roots.
Before I get into roots, don't get my shoes dirty. Know what I'm talking about? And I don't know, Otis, did we have a moment of silence for the passing of Jesse Jackson? We did already? Okay. Well, Jesse's looking down and saying he wants another moment of silence. But I love Jesse Jackson, and the one thing, I will go to my grave believing, no Jesse Jackson, no Barack Obama. So you got to give it up for Jesse Jackson. Can I call you James? Yes. Okay. So thanks so much for inviting me out to Chicago to walk you up the branches of your family tree.
I thought you were coming.
I was going to tell you a short story about how at the age of 9 I fell in love with, I fell into the love of genealogy, but now you know.
Yes, absolutely, the whole truth.
The whole truth. And then I invented the series because a black geneticist contacted me in 2000 and said he could do in a laboratory a test tube what Alex Haley had done.
Okay.
And I volunteered, and 3 years later I woke up in the middle of the night and I genuinely had an epiphany. It was a gift from God. I got up to go to the bathroom, and I'm standing in the bathroom, and like a bolt of lightning, I could get 8 prominent African Americans. I could trace them back to slavery, which I'm going to do with you. And then when the paper trail runs out, I could do their DNA to see where they're from in Africa.
Okay.
And I stood there, ladies and gentlemen, with tears running down my face. It was in the year 2003. Because I knew it was a good idea, and it was a gift from God. I mean, it really was. If I hadn't had to go to the bathroom, I wouldn't be here today.
Thank God for frequency.
We couldn't process your DNA in time to do a reveal, but it's going to be sent to Melody, and then, as I said earlier, I'll tell you about your admixture, which will reveal your percentage of Sub-Saharan African, black, over the last 500 years,
Okay.
European, white, and Native American ancestors.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Now, on our series, we look at how we're shaped by our ancestors, known and unknown. The motto at the temple at Delphi in ancient Greece read, "Know thyself." Actually, there were over 100 mottos, but the most famous was "Know thyself." Know thyself. And I think that knowing about our ancestors is key to knowing about ourselves. One of my heroes was the great English physicist named Stephen Hawking. And he said, "It is the past that tells us who we are. Without it, we lose our identity." And he was talking about the age of the universe, but I think it's true of us as individuals as well. So, James, I'm here to introduce you to your past.
Okay.
Now, my team has been working around the clock to build you a family tree, and now we're going to talk about some of the ancestors we found on that tree. If I talk to you about all the ancestors that we found, we'd be here, and I'd miss my plane going back to Boston, so we can't do that. Because I'm more afraid of my wife than I'm of you or Otis.
I can appreciate that.
And then at the end, I'm going to share your whole family tree with you, okay?
Okay.
But before we start, I have a few questions. When someone asks you, James Douglas Montgomery, who are your people? Where are you from? What do you say?
All I really know is that I came from a great-grandfather who was the son of a slave master, white slave master. And I'm told by some of my other relatives that the slave lady was Mary.
Uh-huh.
And that when my great-grandfather was raised with his children until he became 12. And the story goes that when he darkened down, the old man gave him a few bucks and a knapsack on his back and sent him on his way.
Yeah, well,
And
sounds
then
like
from that point on, I know all of them.
it sounds plausible, and we'll see what we found. What region would you, when people ask you where your people from, what do you say?
In the Delta of Mississippi.
Delta, Mississippi. So probably it came from Africa through Charleston. About 45 to 50% of our ancestors came in through Charleston, South Carolina, and then went straight down to Mississippi. Sound like a plan?
Okay.
Okay, great. Now, you're about to meet people who share DNA with you, but whose lives were totally different from yours. So tell me a little about your own life. You were born February 17th. Happy birthday, my
Thank
brother.
you.
February 17th, 1932 in Louise, Mississippi,
Yes.
to James Livingston Montgomery and Mildred Virginia Bostock.
Yes.
You say Bostock?
Bostic.
Bostic. Okay, thank you. What kind of home did your parents create for you?
It was what we call a shotgun house on the plantation that was owned by our family, the whole family from that great-grandfather.
A shotgun house.
A
So
shotgun-
everyone knows, if you shot a bullet, it would go straight through.
Goes straight through. Yes.
Right.
There was one room in the front. There was a kitchen, and I think that was it, and doorways in between. They basically raised us as kids who would, from the time we were old enough to get to the cotton fields, we started picking cotton and having fun at it. They raised us to, honor our elders, to respect your elders. And white people, you respect them whether they're your elders or not. And basically taught us the ways of the South in order to keep us safe.
Right. Survival.
Yeah,
Survival mechanism.
Yes.
What were you like as a child? Were you shy, talkative? Were you funny, outgoing, or inward?
I'll go by what my family would describe me, what I remember in those days. I had two brothers, one older and one younger. My older brother was Leo, and he was a very smart young man. I had a younger brother who was the baby. And as the middle man, I was lazy, slow. Um, that's about it. I had reddish hair and they had black hair.
And you had blue eyes?
No blue eyes.
Well, they look blue to me now. What
they
color?
may be. It can be color by now. It's been a while.
Yeah, being a middle child is hard.
Yes, it is.
Because just parents fall into preferring the first child is the oldest, and then the baby. It's hard to compete with that.
Right.
Yeah. So you walked around very angry for a lot of years, right?
Not really. I sort of accepted my role.
Yeah.
Until later years, of course.
Oh yeah. I meant that as a joke, you all. Don't leave me hanging out there like that. I'll get a new audience. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Carpenter. They thought I should be a preacher because I was lazy. And that was about the extent of what I saw that I think I wanted to be, except I didn't want to be no preacher.
You didn't want to be a preacher?
No.
Why not?
I just didn't, that didn't turn me on.
Were there any other preachers in your family?
Let's see. I don't think so. Not that I remember. Yeah. If they were there, you found them, and I didn't.
So, carpenter, were you good with your hands?
Yeah, great with your hands, and you're building something.
Yeah, but I mean, did you have
Physical dexterity?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, where did you get that from?
Probably from my father.
Uh-huh.
My father was a butcher. He would go out and kill the cows and bring them to market.
No kidding.
And then go to the marketplace and sell it for the Chinese owner.
So you ate at home very well. You had good cuts of meat.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got any of that meat, but we had good food.
Did your father teach you how to butcher a cow, or
In later years, he did, yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I made my way through college and high school, working summers as a scab butcher.
Really?
Yes.
Where?
On 43rd and 39th and Drexel and 43rd and Prairie.
Huh. So you were working outside the union?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was when the butcher had to go home, I took over the butchering.
I got you.
When Saturday or Sunday hours were not permitted, I cut meat.
Right. So you were one of these, like a strike breaker,
Something like
union buster. Whoa, that's great. Who carves a turkey on Thanksgiving at your house?
I do.
You do. You're the man. In 1938, your family left Mississippi for Chicago.
Yes, my
And
dad.
I understand it wasn't under the best of circumstances.
Right.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, no, I didn't find out about what I believe to be the truth until my dad died. But it was a well-kept secret and a very, not something that was talked about, except that I had a picture in my mind that railroad track that was close to Louise, the town, that there was a railroad house at the intersection of the road that led into town. And I had a picture of my dad standing behind that house, and when the freight train came by, he hopped on and headed to Chicago.
Right.
So later years, after he'd passed away, his younger brother told me, he says, your dad worked in town in Yazoo City for a laundry. And he would come to the country parts and he would deliver the clothing, pick up the clothing, collect the money for it, bring it back to the boss, and they would pay him his piece. He said they have falsely accused him of stealing. And so I felt that he wouldn't get a fair trial in Mississippi. So we put him in the car and drove to Midnight, Mississippi, put him on a freight train for Chicago.
Oh, that's
and
great.
The rest is history.
That's a great story. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. There is no question he would not have gotten a fair trial in Mississippi.
Absolutely.
Not in 1938. How did the move change things for the family? After all, this is the Great Migration and great upheaval. When, you know, ladies and gentlemen, in 1900, 90% of our people lived in the former Confederacy, lived in the South. And that would begin to change in 1910, when people started moving north and west, and obviously Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, and other industrial areas were main venues where people from the South moved to the north. And your family was part of that wave of Great Migration.
So my father came up first, of course, the way we just described. He got a job as a butcher for a store market on 55th and State. Worked there for a number of years. He sent for my mother within a matter of, I don't know, 6 months or so. And she left us with an aunt who took care of us until they were able to send for us, maybe several months or later. And my mother sent us 3 jackets, brown and green jackets. And sewn on the jackets by my aunt was a note, "This is James Montgomery. He is from Louise, Mississippi. He is going to Chicago, Illinois, and getting off at the 63rd Street station."
I remember those notes. That's great. Where did your father learn to be a butcher?
He learned to be a butcher down in Mississippi.
Right. Was he the first butcher in your family? His father wasn't a butcher.
I think he was the first butcher in my family, yeah.
Well, that's very, you don't run into many, black people who were butchers.
Is that
like
right?
few blacksmiths. Generally we had to do manual labor, picking cotton, rather than something highly specialized. Being a carpenter, that was highly specialized. Being a butcher, being a blacksmith. So that was pretty good job in the black community or on the plantation, wherever it started, right? That's good. How do you think that move changed things for you? And by the way, I'm Skip, so if I'm calling you James, you call me Skip.
All right, so Skip here is what I remember.
Yeah, you know what? My brother is a real doctor. And my nightmare is to be sitting in front of the plane and have a flight attendant come and say, "Dr. Gates, in seat 18C, somebody's having a heart attack." And then all I would do would go back and say, "Tell Mama I said hi and I love her." Because I ain't going to do no mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and none of that. So I ain't no doctor. I'm just Skip for you. Now, how did it change things for you? Where would you be if your father hadn't been accused of stealing that money and you'd stayed in Mississippi? You ever think about that?
I think about it a lot. My dad was a good provider. He was a guy who believed in teaching us to work. And so from the time we were 6, 7, 8, and carry a newspaper route or something, we got a job carrying newspapers. If we needed a bicycle and they had a selling contest at that place, you had to sell enough papers to get you a bike. If you wanted to blow your money when you got your check, you were told, no, you have to save your money or we're going to take it from you.
Right.
And when you need a suit, you'll buy a suit.
All right.
And so that was, for me, a great, for a lazy kid,
Yeah.
That gave me a work ethic, and I've sort of been a hard worker ever since,
No, that's good. And
Nobody's called me lazy since.
Deferred gratification. Your father preached deferred gratification.
Absolutely.
Save the money.
Yes.
Save it for a down payment on a house. Don't buy a Cadillac. That's it.
I wish you had told me that.
When did you first discover that you wanted to be a lawyer?
During the days of Perry Mason on the radio.
Oh,
There was no
wow.
television. I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah, me too.
He's winning all the cases and making the witnesses confess on the witness stand.
Yeah.
I thought that was the cat's meow. So when I went to high school, I took drama, I took speech, everything that I thought might help me become a lawyer, I took and relished it. I didn't do much history, you know. You couldn't tell me now. Or geography, those things that started to turn me off. But I was on the debate team.
Wow. Where'd you go to high school?
Wendell Phillips High School.
What was the racial mix of the school when you went there?
During the entire 4 years, or however many years I was there, 4 years, there was only one white person in the school, and that poor girl didn't last long.
How about the race of your teachers?
Race of the teachers was, we had a black principal who could pass for white, Dr. Maud Bousfield. We had some wonderful black teachers, but we had probably an equal number of white teachers.
Interesting.
And the person who gave you your counseling at the end of your school year, your high school year, we were talking to her about wanting to go to college, and she tells you how difficult it is.
Right, right. She was white?
She was white. And fortunately, I had enough sense to say to myself, hell, you made it. And I must say this about my father. My mother was the disciplinarian of her boys. My father had gotten really upset with my older brother one day down in Mississippi, and he grabbed a board from a picket fence and went after him. She tackled his butt and told him, don't you ever put your hands on my boys again.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my old man, not only did he not put his hands on us, he hardly talked to us. One day he said to me when he was teaching me how to butcher, he said, "Baby brother, you as good as anybody." Never forgot that.
Yeah.
Never forgot it to this very day.
Yeah. No,
That has
that's
carried
good
me
advice.
a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, James, when I left to go to Yale, and Otis will appreciate this, my dad said to me, I said, my parents bought me a brand new car. This is 1969 September, because they thought all the kids at Yale had cars.
Right.
And when I got to Yale, there were only two kids that had cars, Henry Ford's great-granddaughter and me, right?
Hey, you were the witch's black in your town.
Yeah. But I said to Daddy, you know, Daddy, if I get straight C's at Yale, that's equivalent to getting straight A's at West Virginia University, because Yale's so hard. And he looked at me and said, "Boy, you think I'm stupid?" He said, "Just go up there, do as well as you can." And then he said, "And if they don't treat you right, you come on home, because you always have a home." And you know what I did, ladies and gentlemen? I cried as I stepped into my new Ford Mustang. And that freed me in the same way that your father's admonition freed you. It's very good, simple, sounds like simple advice, but let me ask you, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I have a guest, other famous guests on my TV show, this is called the bio warm-up. So before we ever start climbing the branches of the family tree, we get to know each other. And I learn a lot about them and make them think about things that maybe they haven't even thought about themselves. In every black autobiography, every one, whether it's Black Boy by Richard Wright or Frederick Douglass' slave narrative, or Du Bois's In the Soul of Black Folk, when he has a biographical chapter, there is a moment when you discover that you're black, that you're a Negro, and generally that you're different. It's generally a painful thing. It's like you have this, you're oblivious to race. You have an idyllic period, and then wham, the color curtain comes down, hits you on the head. Did that happen to you? And if so, sir, when?
Well, from the time we arrived in Chicago, we lived on Bowen Avenue, which was about 41st Street South, and maybe about 600 west, west. Going east was Cottage Grove and then Drexel. On Drexel was a theater that we attended. So whenever we would pass Cottage Grove going to the theater, we had to run all the way there and run all the way back because the white kids were throwing stones at us.
Oh, wow.
And then similarly, we had a couple of white kids who lived in our neighborhood, and they always entered their home and left through the back.
Uh-huh.
And we used to play ball on a vacant lot near this alley, and we'd see them walk, we'd throw stones at them.
Right.
So we knew there was definitely a difference
Right.
between us. And probably the most dramatic thing that happened to me and that affected my life so severely in many ways was law school.
Uh-huh.
I was the only black in the law school when I entered in 1953.
Wow.
I graduated in 56. And whenever we would leave class and I'd want to discuss some of the issues that we had in class with my fellow classmates, they would roundly ignore me and treat me like I wasn't there.
Oh.
And I got so angry that I stopped dealing with them at all altogether, went on to my room and studied my butt off, and when I came to an exam, I would wear the only one suit I had and the one pair of good shoes that I had, and I would walk into the lobby of the law school and look at one of the little white boys and says, "What are you so upset about? It's only a goddamn exam." And that experience stuck with me for 30 years.
I'm sure.
All of my practice, when I started practicing law,
Right.
all judges were fascists, and I fought them.
Right. Yeah.
If a white lawyer said something to me that was insulting, I'd threaten him.
Uh-huh.
And eventually, I don't remember what triggered it, but I was before a judge, a Jewish judge, and I had a very bad robbery case. Somebody robbing a gas station in a green car with a black door, and who was arrested at the tavern down the street after he sticks the man up with a shotgun, and he describes him. He busted within an hour and a half. So I'm fighting like hell, like I did judges at that time, pretrial motions, and yeah, Jim, calm down, fascist. yeah, Jim, you'll calm down, you'll have a coronary, fascist. yeah, Jim, calm down, I want to help you. Did that fascist say he wanted to help me?
You said, say what?
So I waived the jury trial, cut those motions short, and took a bench trial before him, and asked the witness a few questions on cross-examination. Mr. Witness, can you tell me whether that thug that robbed you was 6 feet tall or 8 feet tall? He says, I couldn't tell. He was sitting down. Well, can you tell me whether he had a tomahawk haircut or he was bald? I don't know. He had on a hat. I have nothing further, Your Honor, and he turned him loose.
Oh, that's great. That's brilliant.
Then I went straight.
Give it up.
Then I went looking for a psychiatrist.
Okay, when was the first time somebody called you the N-word?
Oh, God. I think I was, and I don't know if it was the first time, but one time I clearly remember, because the kid was about this tall. My son was in high school. I'm sure I'd heard it before, but this I remember. So I'm walking up the hill toward this school that's pretty much mostly a white private school. And these kids are half a block away. Nigger, coon. You know, I just laughed.
How old were you?
I must have been, I had a son, so I was a grown man.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the first time?
That was not the first time,
Oh,
but I
okay.
just can't remember the first time.
Oh, I got you.
Had to have happened, Jesus Christ, I was born in Mississippi. So I'm sure I've heard it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you look back on your life and all that you've accomplished in your brilliant career, what are you proudest of most? What are you proudest of?
Boy, I would really say that, you know, mostly my family and my kids, all of whom have done very well, and nobody's a criminal. They're self-supporting for the most part.
That's good.
And I guess I've been proud of the fact that I've made some changes in the respect with which black lawyers are treated from the time I started practice to
Amen.
years later.
That's great. Do you think you've inherited anything from your ancestors, any of your character traits, your abilities? Do you think they've come down through the branches of your family tree? Anything in particular?
Well, before I got old and infirm, I had a very wonderful singing voice and speaking voice. And
You still have a lovely speaking voice.
well, thank you. But that came from my father.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I sang for years in the Bar Association annual Christmas Spirits show and enjoyed it a great deal. And I think that did come from my dad.
You didn't sing in the choir here at the church?
For about 3 or 4 weeks until I couldn't make the practice.
I thought you were going to say you didn't make the cut, that they kicked you out. They told you, stand there, move your lips.
No.
But do you sing at home? You sing in the shower?
Sing in the bathtub.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, let's talk about some of those ancestors, starting on your father's side, okay? Your father, James, was born in Yazoo County, Mississippi in 1907. You've talked about him a little bit, but what was he like as a person? What would his friends have said about him as a person? You've given us the view of being his son.
Well, I can say that he was a tremendous worker. I would say he was smart. I would say that, how can I put it? I don't know what to say about his characteristics. He was a guy who drank a lot in his middle years, and I was very proud of him when my mother threatened to put him out if he didn't do something about it, and he immediately went ahead and got treatment and came back home and stayed sober for the rest of his years until he got really old and he started sneaking it around a little bit.
Was he a happy drunk or angry drunk?
You know, it was. I recall him on payday was Saturday. I recall him coming home, you know, drunk and late, and want to jump my mother and the 3 boys. We'd take him off of her.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I recall that he would sometimes come down when it would get high on Saturday night. He'd come down the block, and some of the bigger boys would make fun of him. He'd pull out his long pistol and he'd shoot up in the sky.
He sounds like a character.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a character for a while.
Did he talk much excuse me, just getting over a cold. Did he talk much about his ancestors?
Not really. I mean, I guess the information that I've given you it's probably coming from him.
Yes.
Because he knew that Morse better than my mother did.
Okay. Well, James Douglas Montgomery Sr., let's see what our researchers found.
Okay.
Your father's parents were Frank L. Montgomery and Ella Baker,
Yes.
as you know. They were both born in Mississippi. Frank was born in 1879, so that's during, just after the end of Reconstruction, really Reconstruction's ending, and Ella was born in 1886. Now, you knew them when they were young. They die about 1950 or so.
Okay.
Did they ever talk about their deeper roots?
No.
No, okay. Have you ever wondered where your family was before they got to Mississippi?
No.
You probably presumed they were from Africa, right?
Well, I mean, that's the way I ultimately determined, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I never thought about it as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to focus on Ella and her family first.
Okay.
And when we looked into their roots, we found something very interesting. Now, I have two gifts to give you today as your birthday present.
All right.
One is your book of life. This is the scrapbook that contains the documents that the researchers at American Ancestors on Newberry Street in Boston, the oldest genealogical society, ladies and gentlemen, in America. They have been researching you for the last few months. And we've assembled the documents, given the length of time that we had today, into your book of life. This is the ultimate scrapbook. And I'm giving this to you as your first birthday present.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't open it.
Thank you.
Don't open it yet. And you can't open it until I tell you to open it.
Okay. I get it.
And when we wrap, I'm going to give you your second birthday present.
Okay.
And there's only one copy of that in the whole wide world.
Okay.
And then on my way back to Boston, I'm going to email you a digital copy of your script, of this script containing the stories.
Okay.
And a digital copy of your family tree. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so James, would you please open your book of life to page 1? Now, what you're looking at is a subsection of your larger family tree. And you all can see it in the red and green colors. It's called a breakout tree. And at the bottom, you see yourself. And then you follow up to your grandmother, Ella. Find Ella. And then, as you can see, her father, who is your great-grandfather. And he was a man named James Baker.
I think I knew him.
Okay?
Yeah.
And above James is Ella's grandmother, who is your great-great-grandmother. And I know you never met her.
No.
Because her name was Lavinia Guster. Lavinia Guster, G-U-S-T-E-R. And Lavinia Guster, ladies and gentlemen, was born in 1825.
Okay. All right.
So already, we are back 200 years on your family tree.
Okay.
And if she was born in 1825, it tells you the condition of life she was born into, slavery. She was born into slavery.
Absolutely.
Have you given much thought to your ancestors who were enslaved? All of us, ladies and gentlemen, descend from people who were enslaved. There used to be some sedity black people I knew in my time
Indians.
who would say, yeah, either they would say we were Indians or our people were never enslaved. If I weren't in church, I would say that's bullshit. Sorry, Rev, wherever you are. All black people descend from enslaved Africans. That's just the way it is. Now, the only difference is how quickly your family became free.
Okay.
By 1860, 10% of the African American population was free,
Okay.
but 90% were enslaved. Okay? And that way, it's probably even more, maybe 12%. But between 1830 and 1860, I would say 10 to 12% of our people were free. But so overwhelmingly, we were enslaved. So I'm going to ask you again, you saw roots, you know, you're a very intelligent man, you think about black history. Have you given much thought to enslavement and how it impacted your distant ancestors like Lavinia?
Not really. I've thought a lot about slavery, but not really as it might have impacted my ancestors.
What's it like? Before now, I'm guessing you did not know the name of a single enslaved man or woman on your family tree. Is that right?
That is correct.
May I ask you what it feels like to see that woman's name, to know that you have DNA from her, that she is your blood relative, and that she was somebody's property?
Yeah, yeah. It's something that's hard to imagine, but it was what it was.
Yeah. Can you imagine thinking that you had the right to own another human being?
It's ridiculous. A lot of people who thought that was right, a lot of preachers.
A lot of preachers, a lot of people who were willing to die. Our costliest war was the Civil War. 750,000 people, some historians estimate, died from the North and the South, either to preserve slavery from the South or to eliminate it, which is astonishing. Now, James, as you know, it's often impossible to learn about the lives of enslaved people. So first of all, you know the name of, on one branch of your family tree, she's the oldest enslaved person. But we always try to find out what we can. Often we hit a brick wall. It's called the brick wall. In every family tree, the paper trail will only take you back so far. One of the first family trees is the, Otis, where? The Begets. Where are you? Rev, where are the Begets? Abraham begat and all that. That's the first family tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the first family tree. And they put it in the oral tradition so nobody would forget. And that didn't happen for us. We were so fragmented. Families were separated. So almost never do I sit with a person of color and they know the name of an enslaved person. But eventually the paper trail will run out, no matter what. I mean, even if you were from the English elite, the English aristocracy, at some point, the paper trail runs out. And that's called the brick wall.
Okay.
And for more African Americans than not, we hit the brick wall almost immediately.
Okay.
We get back one generation. And we can't find anything about their enslaved ancestor except a name. But for you, birthday boy, we got lucky.
Oh,
And ladies and gentlemen, we never know. We don't pre-screen our guests on Finding Your Roots. When Reverend Moss asked me to do this, I didn't interview you or anything. We just start at the beginning and pursue our research and see where it goes.
Okay.
Well, Lavinia married a man named Charles Baker.
okay.
And Charles Baker is your great-great-grandfather. And he was also born into slavery, just like Lavinia was. And when we started looking into Charles and Lavinia's lives following the Civil War, we found something very interesting.
Perfect timing.
I like that music. I love that music. By the way, I wanted to say, your ringtone reminded me, I wanted to say, I'm not old enough to have heard Perry Mason on the radio, but I loved it. Black and white TV.
Yes, he was.
Oh, man, he was bad.
Yes, he was.
But nobody made clear that Della, he was really hitting on Della, you know that. Anyway, I'm sorry, I was in the church, I forgot. Okay, please turn the page. We're back to the year 1880. You're looking at a page of the federal census, the United States federal census for the year 1881. And this is the 1880 federal census for Yazoo County, Mississippi. By this time, your great-great-grandmother, Lavinia, had married your great-great-grandfather, Charles Baker, so she's listed there as Lavinia Baker. We've highlighted the entries for her and Charles, as well as the places where they were born. Would you please read those places in the white box? No, in
Virginia.
Yeah, that's right. We made it easy. We made it easy for you. We just
Virginia
transcribed.
and Maryland, yeah.
Yes. Virginia
And Maryland.
and Maryland. Everything that you look will be in a bigger white box that
Okay.
you look at, because it's impossible to read that little print. Virginia and Maryland. Your great-great-grandmother Lavinia was born in Maryland, and your great-great-grandfather Charles was born in Virginia. And you, when I asked you, you said, I'm a Mississippi boy. What's it like to realize that your family really came from the upper South, from Virginia and Maryland? Did you ever imagine that you learned where your people, that you had people who came from other than Mississippi?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Mississippi and Virginia are a long way from Yazoo County.
Absolutely. Especially Maryland, huh?
Yeah. So how'd they end up in Mississippi?
I don't know. You know, tell me.
I certainly am. But that's a surprise to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So your family history is a lot more complicated already than you thought.
Yes.
There was something called the Second Middle Passage.
Okay.
And this is the Second Middle Passage. You know all of those Westerns you've seen about the Trail of Tears, when the Native Americans were forced to go out to what became the state of Oklahoma.
Okay.
All right? Why? They were the Creek, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Cherokee, and the Seminole. Why were they forced to move? Andrew Jackson was the President of the United States, and in 1830, he signed the Indian Removal Act.
Okay.
And he moved all these people out to what is now the state of Oklahoma.
Okay.
But it was called Indian Territory. It was like its own semi-country until Oklahoma became a state, I think in 1907. You could fact check me on that. Okay? Why? You know why? They were sitting on the richest cotton-growing soil in the world.
Cotton was the big commodity.
Cotton was a big commodity because of Eli Whitney's cotton gin, right? So, between 1830 and 1860, cotton was king. And the Cotton Revolution unfolded in the South.
Okay.
And over 1 million African Americans. Somebody has to plant, you know, cotton is labor intensive. You know that from Yazoo County. Somebody got to plant it, pick it, clean it, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Who was going to do that? But what we don't generally remember is that there was slavery as an institution, but there was also the slave trade. Slavery and the slave trade. The Emancipation Proclamation begins to do its best to abolish slavery as an institution, but slavery only is really abolished by the ratification of the 13th Amendment.
Right.
In December 6, 1865. But the slave trade from Africa is abolished January 1st, 1808.
Okay.
So if it's 1830, and you need a whole bunch of new slaves, enslaved men and women, to plant and pick this cotton, because remember, you just kicked the Native Americans off their land, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to get them? From the upper South.
Okay.
Why? Because they'd come earlier, and they had been involved in picking and planting things like tobacco,
Okay.
which drain the soil, you know, which ruin the soil. And you all learned that in school. We had the rotational crops and all that stuff. So there was a surplus, really, of enslaved people in the Upper South. So they moved 1 million enslaved people from the Upper South to they sold them down the river. That's where that expression comes from.
Sold down the river.
Down the river, being sold down the river. And our ancestors walked with coffles and, whatever. They were forced to remove themselves as enslaved people from places like Virginia, which is the biggest slave-owning state, and Maryland, all the way to the south. And your family, your ancestors were part of that second Middle Passage.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. It is that.
But think about this. When Lavinia and Charles were taken south, they probably were forced to leave family behind, brothers and sisters and parents, whom they likely never saw again. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's like being torn away from Africa in the first place.
Yeah.
How do you think that would affect a person?
Well, a great deal. You're taking them away from their ancestry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take away from your mother.
Yeah. Mother. Yeah.
Would you please turn the page?
Yeah.
This is the very same census record we just saw, only this time we've highlighted the entry for another person who was living in the Baker household in 1880. Would you please read the name and birthplace that we've highlighted there in that white box?
Rosetta Guster, born in Maryland.
Rosetta Guster, born in Maryland. Now, remember, your great-great-grandmother Lavinia's maiden name was Guster, right? So who do you think Rosetta Guster could be? Want to take a wild guess? And you already know Lavinia is married to Charles Baker.
Right. How about a sister?
That's a good guess. It's her mother.
A mother. Okay.
You just met Lavinia's mother. So,
Okay.
James, you just met your great-great-great-grandmother. You just met your third great-grandmother.
I'll be doing. That's amazing.
Her name was Rosetta Guster.
Yes.
There are a zillion African Americans who never know the name of a great-great-great-grandmother.
Right.
So that's amazing. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And as you can see, Rosetta was from Maryland herself,
Right. Absolutely.
just like her daughter. So that means you have deep roots in Maryland. So when your ancestors came from Africa, most probably, well, it's quite possible that they landed at the Chesapeake and were in Maryland.
Now, then we had one. What was the other? The other place was Virginia, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the two were living on the same property in 1880, and that means that Lavinia and she likely made the journey south together
Okay.
in that second Middle Passage. You all know the Middle Passage is how our ancestors got from West Africa and West Central Africa to the United States. It's called the Middle Passage. If you want to know the numbers, we now know about 12 million Africans were put on ships to sail across the Atlantic. 15% died in the Middle Passage. They were thrown overboard. So that means 10.7 million got off the boats.
Okay.
How many of those 10.7 do you think came to the United States? Just a wild guess.
Say 2/3.
About 2/3? Anybody want to take a wild guess? You ready? Only 388,000.
Is that right? Gee.
That's it.
So they went to the islands and so forth?
5 million went to Brazil.
Okay.
1 million went to Cuba. 1 million went to Jamaica. The richest colony in the history of the world was Haiti. Haiti.
Yeah.
It was called Saint Domingue. And until January 1st, 1801, when it became the first colony to be liberated by black men, and black men and black women. It was amazing. But it was the richest. Why? So many black people down there. 5-letter word, sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sugar was like crack.
Yeah.
I never had crack. I don't want anybody to be confused here. This is CNN. Gates said crack. No. I don't want to hear that. But sugar, until the New World opened up, only rich people would ever even taste the sugar. Now go back and think when you had a child, and remember that first lick of ice cream? And they go crazy, their eyes cross? Imagine a whole civilization tasting sugar for the first time. So there was this huge demand for sugar, and huge wealth was created through sugar plantations, and sugar was labor intensive.
Okay.
So they needed to import all these African, predominantly men, to the islands,
yeah.
and to Brazil, and also for mining, like in Peru and Brazil too. And that's why so many more went to those places than came to the United States. So those 388,000 became, by 1860, 4.4 million people, which is, and our population, the reason we get so confused, I remember when I first learned this statistic, I thought it was a mistake. We get so confused because our population is so large, what, 47 million African American. But the slave owners grew their population. That's the word that they used. They grew black people. You know, through having babies, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, I digress. So,
They were capital.
they were capital.
Yeah.
That's right. That means that Lavinia and she likely made the journey then south in the Second Middle Passage together, and they stayed close during slavery. And when slavery ended, they were able to live together in freedom.
Okay.
That's what we learned from the 1880 census. So that is a very good thing, because so many families were torn apart. But Lavinia was not torn apart from her daughter, and the church has to say amen to that. But this isn't all that we learned about Rosetta. Would you please turn the page? Now, this is a probate record, and you, sir, have seen many probate records. It's a probate record for a white slave owner named George Fisher. George Fisher died in Yazoo County, Mississippi in 1844, 17 years before the outbreak of the Civil War. And this record details what was to happen to his property after his death, including his human property. Because though they were human beings, they were property before the law. And many people tried to say we weren't really human beings, that we were animals. You know, animals like apes. You know, like some racists represent former presidents like apes and people like that. And that's nasty and disgusting and racist, because that's one of the oldest demeaning tropes for our people, that we were first cousins to the apes and not really human beings like Europeans were. So if anybody did that recently, and I ain't calling no names, they knew exactly what they were doing, ladies and gentlemen. So, sir, would you please read the text in that white box?
The following Negroes are claimed by B. Boykin as property: Lavinia, Rosetta, and her 3 children.
Lavinia, Rosetta, and her 3 children. So you know what this means. We believe that you're looking at your great-great-grandmother, Lavinia, listed here as Lavinia, as well as her mother, your great-great-grandmother, Rosetta, in the records of the white man who owned them, by name. What's it like to see that? To see them listed in a probate record by name as property.
And in what state is this probate record?
Mississippi,
Is that
Yazoo
Mississippi?
County.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Did you ever imagine, in all the probate records that you've seen as an attorney, that you would see a probate record listing your enslaved ancestors by name?
Amazing.
And that is as rare gets for an African American looking for an ancestor.
Is that as far as we go?
No, we're going to keep on going, brother. See this book? We got a little while to keep on going. So how are you feeling about that? Seeing your own flesh and blood, your biological ancestors, listed by name in a probate record.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Angry.
Angry? Yeah.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You can see how the dehumanization of human beings particularize itself.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more thing I want to point out to you here. Did you see the name of the man who claimed your ancestors as his own property. What was his name? You read it.
B. Boykin.
B. Boykin. B. Boykin was a man named Burwell Boykin. And Burwell Boykin was a slave owner born in Kershaw County, South Carolina in 1811. His father, who shared his name, enslaved hundreds of people on multiple plantations across the state of South Carolina. So what does he have to do with your ancestors? Well, according to federal census records, Burwell Boykin was living in Yazoo County, Mississippi by 1841, which means that his family may have owned a plantation there in addition to the ones they owned up in South Carolina.
Okay.
Or he may have simply been doing business there. We can't be certain. But we know that he was living in Yazoo County at least 3 years before George Fisher died. And we know that he claimed your ancestors for himself after George Fisher died. So why? There are a couple possibilities. Fisher may have owed Boykin a debt, and they were property, and your ancestors were used to repay that debt. It's also possible that Boykin had loaned or leased your ancestors to Fisher. We don't know. But what's it like, sir, to think about that? Your flesh and blood being passed around between two white slave owners.
Yeah.
Like farm animals
Yeah.
or farm equipment.
Things.
Yes. Stealing human lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Burwell Boykin died in Kershaw, South Carolina in 1858. Unfortunately, his will does not list Rosetta nor Lavinia or anyone else we could connect to your family. We believe they remained in Yazoo County after his death, possibly because they were sold before he died.
Okay.
So your your third great grandmother Rosetta is the oldest ancestor we could identify on any branch of your father's side of your family tree.
Okay.
She was likely born in Maryland around the year 1807, which is the year before the slave trade was ended. She lived to see freedom following the Civil War, and she lived to stay close to her daughter. And she passed away, likely in Yazoo County, sometime after 1880. What's it been like to learn about this one ancestor, and what would your father have made of this story?
I think it would have been very revealing to him. But more than anything else, I thought I had ended the family tree with that great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And I had I know they had to come from someplace, but I hadn't really given it that much thought.
Well, do you have grandchildren?
1, 2, 3, about 6, I think.
Well, they just met their 5th great-grandmother.
Okay.
Isn't that a while?
I'll let them know
And
that.
the children, their 4th great-grandmother.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So now we're going to turn to another story from your father's family tree. Your father's great-grandfather. No, don't turn that page yet.
Okay.
Your great-great-grandfather, whose name was Alex Montgomery. Have you ever heard of him?
Great-great-grandfather?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, Alex was my great-grandfather also.
Well, maybe he's a junior. But your great-great was Alex.
Okay.
And he was a character. He was born in Mississippi around 1851, 10 years before the Civil War broke out.
Okay.
Definitely into slavery. And although we couldn't find any records of his life before the Civil
You
War...
said he was a slave?
Yes, sir.
No kidding.
Yep. We did find something unusual about his life after the Civil War. Please turn the page.
I'm on page. There we are.
Okay. This article was published in the Yazoo Herald on September 18th, 1891. And we've put the relevant passage in that white box to make it easy to read. Would you please, sir, read the highlighted section?
Alex Montgomery, colored, pled guilty to I knew we were going to get to the horse thief. Pled guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to the penitentiary for 5 years. It will be remembered that 2 or 3 years since he shot and killed a Negro on Silver Creek, stating that the Negro had threatened his life.
That's right.
He needed a better lawyer.
Now, you said he was a horse thief. He was a murderer.
That's even worse.
Did you know he had killed another man?
Are you kidding? I didn't know anything about this, Alex.
Really? And you look just like him.
You got his picture?
No, I'm just busting this up. This is why you became a lawyer. So you find out a lot of stuff about his family tree. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. You never heard anything about this. Rev, if I could get a glass so I don't look like Marco Rubio doing that debate thing, sucking out his bottle, that would be great if I could have a glass of water. Would you like a glass of water?
No, I'm good. I can do this bottle. That's perfect.
Okay, that's great. So you never heard anything at all about this. It's wonderful. So here's the story. You have a sip, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. All good? In 1891, when he was roughly 40 years old, your great-great-grandfather Alex killed another man.
1841?
1891.
91.
Yes, sir. And thank you. Thank you, madam. Give it up for the First Lady. And sentenced to prison for 5 years. What's it like to learn that?
That's interesting because we have, to my knowledge, 1, 2, 3 Alex. Alex, the great-grandfather that I know, begat Alex, who I knew, who begat Alexandria, who's still alive, who begat AC, who may have been Alexander. Yeah, sure, Alex.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, the first Alex was a bad Negro. And somehow, y'all wiped him out of memory.
Yeah, see, don't go any further now.
So we don't talk about him. What's it like to think of you, one of the most esteemed lawyers in Chicago, descend from a man who went to prison for murder? You ought to be ashamed. That's terrible.
I should tell you a story about General Montgomery, who was my grandfather's brother, Alex's son. His grandson came up from Detroit with us just recently. But General is reputed to have been at home, and the sheriff came to his house and told him if he didn't open the door, he was going to break in. And General told him, if you break in, I'm going to blow your brains out. And that's exactly what he did.
He did?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had one of them in the penitentiary a little while back.
Well, so it runs in your bloodline. Well, I bet those judges and lawyers, if they'd known how bad your family was,
they'd have backed off.
Yeah. They would have backed off.
Yeah.
Well, the story is a little more complicated than it first seemed. Would you please turn the page?
Sure.
This was published in the Yazoo Herald, December 16th, 1892. So just a little over a year after the article we just saw, okay? Mm-hmm. Would you please read that highlighted section in the white box?
Governor Stone on Tuesday pardoned Alex Montgomery, the Negro who killed another on Silver Creek a few years ago. The action of the governor is approved by all familiar with the case.
Oh, you know what? You're one page ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Mm-hmm. Turn back. Mm-hmm. Read that.
The governor of the state of Mississippi, the undersigned who was convicted of manslaughter in the September term 1891 of the Circuit Court of Yazoo County and was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment in the penitentiary, prays that he may now be pardoned. His reason for making his application is that under all circumstances of the case, he has been sufficiently punished. Alex Montgomery, Yazoo City, December 16, 1892.
In 1892, after spending 1 year in prison, your ancestor audaciously wrote to the governor of Mississippi asking him to pardon him. Mm-hmm. And he didn't say that he was innocent. Mm-hmm. He didn't apologize. He didn't say they made a mistake.
He was a wise man.
He said, that's right. He said, I've been in here a year, this hellhole, and I think you need, how crazy. Can you imagine being a white man, the governor, getting a letter from a Negro convicted of murder at the height of the imposition of Jim Crow, and he said, Martha, come look at this letter I got from this Negro. And he said he had been sufficiently punished for what do you make of that?
Well, that's a very wise thing that he did. Don't be a pig. Don't claim you're innocent.
The kind of man he was. I mean, what does that tell you about the kind of man he was?
You know, he was just getting justice. He was the man that threatened him, you know. But, you know.
And he killed him.
You know, the rest of the yes.
James, I don't want you to elide that fact. Man threatened
He killed him.
Power, he killed him. Right?
He killed him.
He were guilty.
Yeah. Let me tell you the rest of the story about General.
Okay.
General was sent to the penitentiary, and he was there for however many years, I don't know. But the job was to put coal into the furnace with some other guys. And they were one of them was just continually messing with him. And one day he picked him up and threw him in the fire.
Oh, he did?
And you know what?
What?
Was it one of my grandfather's brothers had some highfalutin white friends, and they got him out of the penitentiary.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And
you come from a bunch of bad Negroes, you know that? I didn't know how bad you were. All right, let's see what the governor did. So please turn the page, and now you can read again what you read before. This is one audacious, in the history of the American judicial system, the only black man ever to write to a governor and ask to be let out of prison after being convicted of murder is his ancestor right here. Let's see what this Jim Crow white, probably joining the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know. I can't say that. Let's see what the governor did.
Governor Stone on Tuesday pardoned Alex Montgomery, the Negro who killed another on Silver Creek a few years ago. Now, that was very important that it was a Negro that he killed and not somebody white.
Scare me, boy.
The action of the governor is approved by all familiar with the case. So politically, nobody got angry with the governor.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're right. If he killed a white man, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Alex got his pardon. He was set free. Do you play the lotto much? You know, you're a lucky Negro family. You know that?
No, I don't play the lotto much. When it gets to be big money, I play and I always lose.
Well, this was the luckiest Negro in Mississippi
Yeah.
to get a pardon by the governor. What's it like to see that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And especially when it's clearly that's a name that has gone through generations, you know. Alex.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said, which is, Paul is like that in my mother's family.
Is that right, Paul?
Multiple generations. My mother was Pauline. Her father was Paul. My brother's Paul. Blah, blah, blah. You know, the same thing,
gotcha.
like Alex.
Yeah.
Well, does it surprise you that this actually happened in the history of law in Mississippi?
Well, it would be most unusual, but, you know, there was a lawyer when I started practicing by the name of Euclid Lewis Taylor. And Euclid was known as a fixer. And you give him some money and he would get you off. Because he'd somehow get it fixed or he could do it straight up. So one of his famous statements was when people wondered how he got this black man off. He said, "'Cause if you can't kill a nigga, who you gonna kill?"
That is sad. That, I am sure, is absolutely what he said. And that's the way it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Think about that. And also,
Of course.
you know, think about abuse. You know, men would beat their wives in the black community, and wives wouldn't have any recourse. Gay people were punished, and they couldn't have recourse. So,
by the way, there are a lot of Montgomerys in here who are glad to hear about all this stuff.
oh yeah. Well, it surprised me as a scholar of African American history that I've never heard of a case when a black man convicted of murder wrote to a white governor in Mississippi in the 1890s. This is when they're setting up separate but equal and taking the right of black man to vote away with the rollback to Reconstruction. So it's amazing. So, James, think about this. Alex was now free, but of course he was still living in Jim Crow, Mississippi. And now he's a convicted criminal.
Right.
Let's see how he fared.
Okay.
Please turn the page. This is from the archives of Yazoo County, Mississippi. It's dated March 3rd, 1899, so roughly 6 years after Alex was pardoned. This is a loan agreement. In 1899, Alex and his wife, your great-great-grandmother, whose name was Patsy Oliver, on this line, that was your great-great-grandmother, they borrowed $600 in cash and $200 worth of supplies. And as collateral, they put up a tract of 50 acres of land and 3 mules. So you know what that means? That Alex and Patsy, by 1899, already owned land.
Let me tell you this. This would have been,
That was huge. That was very rare for black people to own land, particularly in Mississippi.
what year was this?
1899.
So let's see. That's land that we currently own.
Wow.
All of the ancestors of Montgomery, I think it was 200 acres, have been getting $10 a year or sometimes 50 for leasing the land.
Really?
And
It's that land they stole from the man he murdered, right?
no, you know, no, seriously. Let me tell you what this looks like to me.
I just wanted to see if they're still awake, James.
You know, this looks like it could have been my great-grandfather. This could have been my great-grandfather. Because 1892, my dad was born in 1907.
It's your great-great-grandfather, right?
Yeah, great-great-grandfather.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not the great,
and
but
that's
the
the
great.
Alex that I thought the line stopped at.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think that's who that is.
Well, they were, wealthy.
Yeah, they
For
had
black people.
Yeah, at one time they had 600 acres, we're told.
Yeah. And here they are. That is a loan. He's looking at a loan document.
Can you imagine borrowing money and you can't borrow it now in 2026?
Yeah, it's true.
He must have had some connections.
Well, less than 20% of the black community, for sure, throughout the South owned land in 1900. I'll fact check that and I'll send you a note.
Okay.
But it was a huge accomplishment.
How much was it? How much money was it?
The loan agreement, they borrowed $600 in cash and $200 worth of supplies.
It was a lot of money.
And as collateral, they put up a tract of 50 acres of land and 3 mules.
3 mules, yeah.
So they got their 40 acres in a mule. But that's amazing.
It is.
And we have no idea how your ancestors got their land.
Yeah.
But it set themselves apart in terms of class within the black community because they did. Historians don't know exactly how many African Americans were landowners in Mississippi in 1899. There are different estimates, but to be sure, there are insufficient records to tell us. But available data show that only a small minority did so. On the order of, I thought it was 20%, but it's 10%. Roughly 1 in 10 black farm operators and even a smaller share of overall black population were landowners at the end of the century. So Du Bois, the great Du Bois, wrote an essay that Otis knows called The Talented Tenth. And I think that tenth came from, in part, the percentage. Remember I said about 10% of our people were free?
Right,
And that tied to owning land too.
right.
That produced the kind of elite class within the African American community. So that was a huge accomplishment.
You know,
So you came from people,
yeah, someone who died at 101, my Aunt Deella was the oldest, well, not the oldest, there's some who lived to be 104.
Wow.
But somehow she used to talk about a relative or a man by the name of Dr. John, and they was somebody with wealth. And I don't know, this is
99.
1899.
Yes, sir.
That's within the time frame of you know, my grandfather's was born already. That Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
But that is your great-great.
Yeah.
So, do you think your father knew this story?
I would think that he might have known that story, because he was born in 07. His father lived 50 years after that or so.
Now think about this. A lot of people would have been broken by a year in prison,
Yeah.
but he wasn't.
Yeah.
He must have been tough and determined. He not only was broken, he was clever enough to decide to roll the dice and write to the governor and say, "Let me out of here."
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel a connection?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you bad and crazy, just like your great great
Oh,
grandfather.
no, but the land tells me something. It's still around.
That's right. That is
know?
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That is amazing. You know what? There's a colleague of mine at Harvard, brilliant. And he could look at your zip code and predict, you know, how well you're going to be on that your children or grandchildren, how you're going to do in life, because of the schools and crime and all this. And one predictor.
And medical care, too.
Yes, and medical care. Yeah. But one predictor is owning land. Why do all these white people come to the United States? You all ever wonder about that? Because they had no possibility of ever owning land in Europe. None. These people are like poor as poor can be. So America offered them the opportunity to own land, and that is the beginning of accruing wealth and being able to pass that wealth down. That's why when the GI Bill after World War II was not offered in equal proportion to black soldiers, that was a horrible thing, because it was the birth of the rise of the middle class in America, and white people had a better opportunity because they could get these low interest loans and you know, and own homes, and it would take longer for our people to get that because of racism. But your family somehow came from slavery, yet managed to be in that 10% in Mississippi to own land.
Yeah.
That's a miracle, James.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. That
And Alex was your father's grandfather, just to put it in perspective.
is true. That's right.
He was your
that
father's
is right.
grandfather. Well, James, I have one last story to tell you. And for this one, we're going to turn to your mother's side of your family tree.
Thank God I know nothing about her side.
Okay, good. That's good. Don't you turn that page.
Not yet.
And we're going to look at your maternal grandparents, Frank Bostic and Virginia Jenny Graham. They are your maternal grandparents. You ever hear of them?
I've heard, well, I know that she was raised by her aunt whose last name was Graham.
Okay, there you go. Well, that was her maiden name.
Okay.
And Bostic was her married name.
All right.
Now, they both passed away before you were born. Frank was born around 1868,
Okay.
3 years after the end of the Civil War, in Mississippi. Virginia was born around 1872, also in Mississippi.
Okay.
And when we looked into their lives, we found something I think you'll enjoy. Would you please turn the page?
Okay.
This record you're looking at is from the Mississippi State Archives. And if you look at it, if you read all that cursive, it says on October 4th, 1895, your grandparents, Frank and Virginia, purchased a tract of land in Yazoo County, Mississippi, with a $400 loan from the Latonia Building and Loan Association. And this is just one of several transactions where we saw your ancestors buying and selling land and livestock. Now remember, this is on your mama's side, not your daddy's side. So James,
Should be middle class.
you were middle class. No, You're upper middle class. High-toned and sedity. James, you descend from landowners on both sides of your family tree.
Well, you know, the good news goes with the bad news, you know.
Yeah,
So.
but when I was referring to my colleague at Harvard, looking at the zip code, if we could go back in time, or someone had objectivity enough, and they could look at these two sets of your ancestors, and they were sensitive enough, they would have predicted you would have been successful.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
That's the power of land. My mentor at Yale, John Morton Blum, wrote a book called The Promise of America. And the promise of America was land. 'Cause even in wealthy families, only the oldest son inherited the estate. Downton Abbey, it's the oldest boy. The number 2 guy, he had to jump on his ship, hope he didn't drown, getting to the United States, and make it over here. That's the secret of America. So, what's it like for you to learn that when that phrase, you come from people, my mama would always say, Skippy, you come from people. And I'd say, thank you, Mama. And I would wonder, what's that mean, coming from people?
You know, this is something that my mother would have known nothing about.
Yes,
know?
that's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you read my mind, did your mom ever talk about this?
She knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
She was an infant when her parents died. Her mother died, and father remarried and turned her over to my mother's sister.
Yeah. Huh. So, did you ever wonder where your family got its drive? It's inherited. It has come down through your family tree. Back to people who lived their lives as slaves.
So I wasn't destined to be lazy.
No, you weren't. You weren't lazy. You were just hibernating. Hibernating. And then you came out of your cocoon. Well, this document led us to something amazing.
Go ahead.
Frank's grandfather, your great-great-grandfather, was a man named Merriam Vaughan. Merriam Vaughan. Okay?
Great-grandfather on the mother's side?
Yes, your great-great-grandfather. We're still on your mama's side.
Okay.
Remember? Because remember, that's your grandparents, Frank.
Right.
Frank
right.
and Virginia are your grandparents.
Right.
So Frank's grandfather, who is your great-great-grandfather, was a man named Merriam, like Merriam and Webster dictionary.
Okay.
But last name Vaughan, V-A-U-G-H-N.
Okay.
You never heard that name before.
No.
Okay. Please turn the page. Okay. This is a document from the archives of the Freedmen's Bureau. And you've heard of the Freedmen's Bureau, which was set up at the end of the Civil War. It was a federal agency set up in order to, among other things, help formerly enslaved African Americans transition from slavery to freedom. Right? It was created idealistically, never had enough money, never had enough resources, and it didn't last long enough to help our ancestors. Our ancestors, ladies and gentlemen, were just freed. They were freed. They were illiterate because it was illegal to teach them to read and write. They had no money. They had the rags on their back. And somehow they were supposed to make it up the food chain. It was a terrible, terrible thing, with no help. But the Freedmen's Bureau, for a while, was meant to speak to that need, to help them, to help them with education. And a lot of single white women from the North went south to serve as teachers for our formerly enslaved ancestors, adults as well as children. And that's also the period when the HBCUs were founded.
Okay.
Sorry, snap. So it was education was everything. Because it had been denied to our people for so long, they knew that there was magic in letters and mastering the alphabet, the ABCs. So this document is dated January 4th, 1866. So less than 1 year after the end of the Civil War. You were looking at a contract, James, between your great-great-grandfather, Miriam Vaughn, and a white man named Jonathan O. Hunter. And it lays out the terms under which Merriman was to work on Hunter's plantation in Yazoo County, Mississippi. And guess what? It was not a good deal. In exchange for a full year of Merriman's work, under highly restrictive conditions, he was guaranteed a wage of $180 and 1 bale of cotton. And James, guess what $180 in 1866 would be worth today?
I have no idea.
$3,600.
That's for 1 year?
Yes, for 1 year. He had to survive for 1 year with the family. Well, we didn't know if he survived or not. See, what happened, just so everyone knows, one form of enslavement.
What'd you say, 3,000?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know how much I made when I was a young lawyer?
How much?
$50 a week, and I think it counted to about 2,400 or something like that.
Wow.
If I counted right. That's nothing.
Nothing, it's nothing.
Absolutely not. I was making more money as a scab butcher.
My first salary at Yale was $12,000, and my favorite cousin, God rest his soul, just passed, was working at the paper mill. And he was making more money than I was, and I had a PhD from the University of Cambridge in England. And I was thinking, maybe I made mistakes. I ought to go work at the paper mill.
Yeah.
I'm only just joking. I never wanted to work at the paper. Well, your ancestor not only survived, he raised a family, and he did something else as well. Would you please turn the page? What you're looking at is another land deed. On the 2 days after Christmas of 1875, your great-great-grandfather, Merriman Vaughn, paid $400. Paid $400. This is 20 years after the end of the Civil War. Paid $400 cash money for 60 acres of land in Yazoo County, Mississippi.
Amazing. Amazing. Both sides wealth.
It's amazing, yeah. No, they were natural entrepreneurs. They watched the system and figured it out. Deferred gratification. James Merriman went from being enslaved with no money to working for peanuts for a white man on that contract to owning his own land in just 9 years.
Amazing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
You have, remember I asked if there were any traits that you thought had been passed down through the branches of your family tree. And I know you can carve the turkey like crazy, you know, that is. But you see another leitmotif. You see, I believe that our ancestors are in suspended genealogical animation. They're in these vaults. And they're waiting for us to find them. And when we find them, we open the vaults in which they've been suspended, and they tell us their stories. And often it turns out that their stories, unbeknownst to you, have trickled down through the branches of your family tree, repeated themselves, and shaped the person you became. And I think we've just seen a graphic example of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Final beat to this story. Excuse me. We're going to look at the very top of your tree, which means the oldest ancestors whom we could identify. On your father's side, the farthest we could go back is your, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, I said I had 2 gifts for you, because it's your birthday, right? First is your book of life. Second, close your eyes and don't cheat. Because you come from some scamming Negroes on your past. All right, open this. This is my gift to you. Unfurl that. This is James. This is the family tree. The family tree, this is the ancestors of James Douglas Montgomery Sr. Look at the very top of the tree. See the highest box there? On your father's side, find yourself at the bottom.
Okay.
Go over to that brown box on your left.
Okay.
That's your father's side of your tree. On your father's side, the farthest back we could go is your third great-grandmother, Rosetta,
Okay.
whom we met before. And as you saw, she was born over 200 years ago in the state of Maryland
Okay.
in 1807. Okay? And there she is right there.
Okay.
On your mama's side, there's your mom. The farthest we could go are your great-great-grandparents, Merriman Vaughn and his wife, Nancy. And we don't know where or when Merriman was born, but we believe his wife, your great-great-grandmother, Nancy, was born around 1810 in the state of South Carolina.
Okay.
So you have ancestors from Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina, whom we can trace by name before they ever got to Mississippi.
Well, thank you very much. This is beautiful.
What's it like to see this in front of you?
This is wonderful. I'm going to frame it.
Yes. You know?
Absolutely.
When I invented what became Finding Your Roots, I only did black people. It was called African American Lives. And the first person I did was Oprah.
Okay.
And she framed her family tree, and now just about everybody frames them. So this is exactly what hers looks like.
Very
Same
good.
paper, same motif, same print, everything.
Wonderful.
So you have deep roots in the American South, the Upper South and the Lower South.
Right.
You also have a lot of people in your family tree who work the land. They work the land with their hands.
Right.
Is that what you imagine that we would find?
Well, I figured that part, working with the hands, yes, but not, well, I should think landowners. Hell, my family's owned land since I was born.
Yeah, well, they've owned it since for 100 years before you were born.
Many years, yeah.
Yeah, not really 100. What year were you born?
1932.
Right. So, 25, 50 years before you were born.
Yeah.
At least. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And more recently.
Yeah.
But that's extraordinary. And extraordinary, at most, we would find one ancestor for an African American who would own land. You have 3 sets of ancestors on 3 lines. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah. And the blind spot for me has always been my mother. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your mother came from people too.
Yeah.
Well, James, that's the end of our journey today. I have 3 questions to ask you, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
And then we can sing happy birthday to you.
All right.
What has our experience together meant to you this afternoon? What has surprised you most?
I suppose what surprised me most is how far you've gone back on both of my sides of my family. What surprised me, although I knew about a little criminality in my family, I see that was more than I knew. I've learned that people were industrious and landowners, and that gives me a sense of self-esteem and pride.
Indeed. If you could go back in time and meet just one of the ancestors to whom you've been introduced today, who would that be?
Oh boy, probably. Alex.
Alex, of course. You'd have said, fist bump. If we set you back in a time machine, you came out, you said, Alex, just give me a fist. Boom. You're the man.
Absolutely.
Finally, dear brother, what would your ancestors have made of the middle son of your mom and dad? What would they have made of you?
Well, he wasn't as lazy as they said he was.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Elder Montgomery.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ed.
Happy birthday. Where are musicians? No. This is a black church. All right, come on now.
All right, y'all ready? Here we go. Oh, happy birthday to you.
All right. Now, one final thing. Tonight, you can watch Dr. Henry Louis Gates, Finding Our Roots, will be on PBS tonight. They will be looking at the roots of Lizzo and Flea. And then after that will be the PBS special that he's producing on blacks and Jews. You can watch that this evening. And so we invite you to check it out this evening. Dr. Gates, again, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. We got it. Now, he's got to go. He's got to catch his flight. Y'all just wave at Dr. Gates. Okay, just wave at him. And let's get the Montgomery family to take a picture together. Come on, we get you. Take a picture. Some photos. If I could have your attention, please. If you allow the Montgomerys to exit to Montgomery Hall so that you may greet them. So we're going to allow you to let them exit. Please allow Elder Montgomery to exit.